Hey guys, and welcome. I want to try out something different today. We're going to do something called board game Bants. And the whole idea is that we're encouraging people from the community to share their stories about the board gaming hobby. Anything that's funny, interesting, or even frustrating, I want to hear it and want to share with you guys as well. If you do have a story like this, can you make sure to share it to Diceonahill@outlook.com. All right? And it'll be down below as well if you need the link. What I thought I might do to start us off is share a personal story of my own. So let's jump right into it. Hello, my adoring public. My name is Morgan. Sorry for that, and hopefully I haven't lost you already. My story, I think, is an interesting one, and it will prompt discussion in the comments, I believe. But before that, let me give you some context. This story happened about 8 years ago now, when I was heavily in my Magic the Gathering Commander phase. And if you don't know, Commander is a different format in Magic that you play where it's mainly a multiplayer sort of format. I was in the local game store doing some browsing when some board games caught my eye. I was recommended to check out Dead of Winter, a semi-cooperative board game that told the story of a group of survivors attempting to survive the zombie apocalypse. I immediately got Walking Dead vibes, as I was a massive fan of the show at the time. It was an instant buy, and I couldn't wait to get my Magic the Gathering buddies to give it a try. It would also be a great way to shake things up a bit, since we played Commander every fortnight, and it was beginning to get a little bit stale. So, the game night had finally arrived, and everything seemed to be going according to plan. The teach was relatively simple. Being mainly a cooperative game, a lot could be taught as we went on. So I began to shuffle up the objective cards and deal one to each player. These cards determined your hidden objective that you need to complete to win the game for yourself, in addition to helping the other players survive. There was also the possibility of there being a hidden traitor in the group, someone who will only win the game by seeing the other players fail. I had gone to look at my card to realize that I had pulled that particular card and I was this game's traitor. So the game had begun, and I was concerned I might be found out. I decided to play the cards very close to my chest and do everything that I could to support the good of the team. I remember that even with me not attempting to tank the game, it was still very difficult. We were barely completing the crises that were coming up each round, and the group often had to pick their battles, as they couldn't complete them all and resources were extremely scarce. Tensions were high as we were on the final round of the game and couldn't afford to take any further hits to our morale track, as it would cause a game loss. The players at the table determined, through table talk, that we had enough resources to complete the final crisis, resulting in a win for the team. Unfortunately, this round I was the last in player order and had the perfect opportunity to throw a wrench into their plans. To complete the challenge, players needed to provide the correct resources to the crisis deck to resolve the crisis. Any other cards provided would be scored negatively. So that's exactly what I did. I threw in a handful of cards that did not match what was required, and unfortunately, I could see the team's heart sink. I, being pretty happy with myself, revealed myself as the traitor and read aloud the script that came with the hidden roles victory condition. As I read, the group had begun to digest what had happened and seemed to really appreciate the thematic element as the last part of the story was told. After the game, it wasn't long until the group was keen to pull out their decks for Commander. One of my friends, let's call him John, continued to make comments about the previous game. He was clearly still disappointed about what had happened. In a multiplayer game where you need to attack one other player, I wasn't surprised that he had come after me. I took it on the chin. After all, I did just betray him in a zombie apocalypse. We played a few games that evening, and John continued to go for the throat, persistently targeting me with all his removal spells and attacks. At this point, I started to get a bit frustrated and started speaking up. I tried to explain to John that I was simply playing the role I was given and didn't really have a choice in what had happened. John did not accept this and rebutted by saying that the game was difficult enough already and didn't understand why I had to sabotage it. I again explained that the role I was dealt and I was just playing the card that was dealt to me. John then began telling me that what I had done was like an act of self-preservation. He went on to comment that he felt in a real life scenario, how could he trust me to just look after myself? My friends backed me up and saying that Morgan was just playing the game. Eventually, John did let it go. I couldn't tell you the reason why, as that part of the memory is a bit foggy. Perhaps we talked it out, or it just dissipated on its own. We continued to play Magic the Gathering for a few years following this. Anyway, that's the end of my story. I hope you enjoyed it, and do let me know if there's anything that perhaps you would have done differently. Well, I appreciate you listening to my story, and I hope you really enjoyed it. If there's anything that you want to comment on or feedback for me, feel free to share it below. But more interestingly, do you have a story to share? I really want to know. And I'm sure lots others will really enjoy your stories too. So again, share them with Diceonahill@outlook.com. I can't wait to read them. Thanks guys, and I'll see you next time.